Hi, I'm Erin Broadbent. This is my Mod 14 case study for EDL 850 School Law. Category 1 is problem identification and analysis. What do you know? I know that this takes place at Slattery Steno High School, which is located in an affluent area within a large city. It is the most prestigious school in the state. The principal at the school is Dr. Harvey Smith. He's been the principal for 9 years. And 2 years ago, he won Principal of the Year. Dr. Smith is very well respected by the parents within the school. The teacher in this case study is Miss Robin Tate. She does not have a lot of experience. She came to the school with, that was her very first year of experience, and is teaching a specialized science class of zoology, botany, and genetics. I know that the class is a very rigorous class. It's rigorous subject-wise, but also because Miss Tate is a very serious person by nature. So she holds her students to a very high regard and keeps her class very serious. I know Dr. Smith has received numerous complaints about Miss Tate from parents and students. Dr. Smith has addressed these concerns with Miss Tate and has given her some suggestions, but she still has not managed to decrease the stress in her room and make it so that it's not quite as rigorous. The parents and students are still continuing to complain, even during Miss Tate's second year at the school. Miss Tate receives an email instructing her to go and check out a website. This website has highly suggestive comments about her personal behaviors, critical comments about the rigors of her class, and ends with the comment, "Who wants Miss Tate to disappear?" I know that Miss Tate immediately calls Dr. Smith, her principal, to report the website and to express her fears. Dr. Smith informs Miss Tate that he believes the page is a prank. He asks Miss Tate if there's a student that she has made unhappy recently. Miss Tate immediately names William Hall as her student that has been very unhappy lately. She says that he's always making comments behind her back and that he's very sneaky, and she is just sure that it is William that has done this. Dr. Smith says he will print out copies of the email and website, and in the morning he will meet with Miss Tate, William, and some of William's friends. Dr. Smith does say that the district IT department may be a resource to utilize. He does not say that they will utilize it. There are still some things that I need to know. I need to know if Miss Tate's class is actually rigorous, or are the parents and students afraid of failure? There was mention of the students in this class going on to be valedictorian and having 4.0 GPAs. And so that kind of makes me wonder if they're used to things being easy, and they're a little bit discouraged by a challenge, or if the class is genuinely that rigorous. I'd like to know what Miss Tate's peers have to say about her class versus theirs, especially if there are any other special science teachers in the building that can compare the curriculum, compare what's being taught. I also would love to know what Miss Tate says when her parents and students are voicing their concern. Is she receptive to these concerns? Is she blowing it off? How does she feel? And I also would like to know why Dr. Smith is so quick to shrug this incident off. Has this something that has happened before? Maybe something similar or the exact same situation? The problem here is that Miss Tate's class is very rigorous, and the parents and students have issues with that. Another problem is the website that has been dedicated to Miss Tate. It's inappropriate, and it alludes to the thought of Miss Tate disappearing. There's also a problem because Dr. Smith tells Miss Tate not to worry, that this is just a prank. Dr. Smith also creates a problem when he asks Miss Tate which of her students could be upset with her and says that they will all talk. Category 2. My proposed plan of action with appropriate strategies for implementation. Immediately, I would be calling IT, alerting them of the issue, and beginning an investigation as to where the email first originated. I would also immediately make a phone call to the superintendent or higher ups in my district and alert them of this issue and what has happened. I would also ensure Miss Tate's safety. I would call the police and do a check around her place periodically so that she feels safe and secure. Copies and pictures of the accusations and the website would be made. And once those were made, I would report the page to Facebook so that hopefully it could get shut down, or at least it could be like they could turn off the comments or turn off things so that more is not added to it. In regards to this problem, tomorrow I would ensure Miss Tate's safety at school. I would make sure that our SRO or any police officers that we have would be there to support her and be watching over her class. Myself as administrator, I would also be there, and I would be making myself visible so that the students see me as well. I would interview all of Miss Tate's students and possibly even some of their friends, depending on kind of how those interviews go and what information I'm able to find out. I would alert the parents to this incident, and I would ask them for their support and for any leads that they may have in figuring out who created the website and asked about Miss Tate disappearing. In the future, I would remove the student once we can figure out who did this, either the student or students from Miss Tate's class so that she feels safe. And then I would ensure that there's appropriate district punishment for the student. This might be already laid out in my board policy, or it might be something that we need to create based on this experience. I would also educate my students as to why this whole thing was inappropriate. Sometimes kids seem to think that what they type online is just letters on a screen. And I think that we need to make sure that this is a situation where we really educate our students. And finally, I would work with Miss Tate on the environment of her classroom. I would not just give her suggestions, but I would go into her room and I would actually ensure that she is doing my suggestions, and I would model for her and work with her and find other teachers for her to observe and work with as well. It's really important to have the law enforcement and higher ups in the district involved in this. And I also think it's incredibly important to not be placing blame on a student just because they might be more mad than another student. There's no evidence that William did this other than Miss Tate blaming him. It's very important to not allow Miss Tate to feel unsafe or scared. And again, education for students regarding this incident, and possibly even education for the parents as well, so that they can understand the severity and seriousness of this issue. Category 3, resolve the issues based on promoting the success of all students. It is really important and best for our students to not be placing blame without having concrete facts and evidence. We should not say, oh, I just think William did it because he's sneaky, because he makes comments about me. We need to have evidence that William did it before making any accusations and placing any blame. I think that it's important to be working with our students and parents so that they feel successful in Miss Tate's room. Maybe the class is too rigorous. Maybe the students aren't used to that level of rigor. And so I think that it's important to work with them so that they aren't so concerned about that and they feel successful and that they're able to keep working towards that 4.0, working towards valedictorian. And then also educating the students as to why this was inappropriate, why it was unacceptable behavior. Category 4, debrief the problem by reflecting on what you were thinking, feeling, and valuing, and by identifying issues that are unresolved or open to further investigation. As I was reading this case study, several different thoughts went through my head. As I've already mentioned, I really was wondering just how rigorous is Miss Tate's classroom. I also was wondering why Dr. Smith hadn't stepped in sooner. I know that he did give Miss Tate some ideas and suggestions, but there doesn't appear to have been a lot of follow through. Miss Tate's in year 2, and all the exact same complaints from parents and students are still happening. I was really thinking and wondering why Dr. Smith seems so nonchalant, and he appears to really just blow this whole situation off. He thinks it's a prank, it's no big deal. Kind of just seems to tell Miss Tate, go to bed, see you in the morning, don't stress about it. And then I also was really wondering why Miss Tate's so quick to blame William. Kind of seems as if several students don't really like Miss Tate, and so what is it about William? Has he said something to her? Has he done something to her that we don't know about yet that makes her so quick to blame him? As I read through this case study, I was feeling very sad and worried for Miss Tate. That has to be a pretty crummy feeling to read from a student or a possible parent, and be thinking that they want you to disappear. I was also feeling incredibly annoyed, frustrated, and angry with Dr. Smith. The way he handled this, I just really did not care for. Again, he seems to have blown this up and not be really taking the seriousness of it. And it seems like he's kind of just whatever about it. And he doesn't seem to genuinely care about Miss Tate's safety, and that just didn't sit well with me. There was also some anger that I was feeling towards the student who did this, or students. The fact that they think that this is okay to do is just not okay, and it makes me angry. It also makes me worried for them and sad for them as well, that they think that this is okay behavior. I'm also a little bit concerned about the resolve of this. Being in a affluent area, being where the parents have been complaining a lot on behalf of their student, it's a little bit concerning to me that the parents might end up supporting the student for what they did, or advocating for no punishment, and essentially the student would get away with this. As I read the case study, I was really valuing my own current administrator for supporting her teachers and having our backs. There have been times when she knows that what a teacher did wasn't the best choice, and she has supported that teacher and helped them to make a better choice. And I think that knowing that your administrator is there for you and to support you and protect you is huge. I'm also really valuing that we do live in an age with a lot of technology, and we can track that. We can figure out the origin of things. I think that that's a wonderful piece to technology, and I'm really grateful that we have that. I also, I was valuing my own personal life, my own personal safety of my friends and family. In the case study, Miss Tate goes and stays with her parents because she's feeling unsafe, and I just kind of was thinking of what that might feel like to not have anyone around you and then have your administrator not support you. And so I just felt really lucky. I've got an administrator that supports me, and I have friends and family that support me and would help keep me safe as well. There are still several unresolved issues in this case study. First and foremost is who posted it. Was it one student, multiple students? I also kind of at one point wondered if perhaps it was a parent. So still trying to figure out who posted this. And then will there even be a punishment? And if so, what will that be? Will there be any future online safety education for the students to help them learn from this and learn why it was not okay? How are the parents going to react to this news? And how will this impact Miss Tate and her future relationship with these parents and these students? Will she even stay at the school, or will this push her out? And does Dr. Smith ever go back and actually support Miss Tate, or does he just kind of blow it off and continue to say that it's not a big deal. Category 5, reflection on Standard 5.